everybody. It is the Football 360 Show, Fast Hour Football Talk on the planet. I am JP Rock. He is Matt Bierman. There's our social media right there. Excellent producer Joe goes ahead, pops up there. JP Rock MO on X. JP Rock Scouts U on the gram. And Mr. Bierman, how you doing today?
Not too bad.
Your socials
Elite Football on X and Elite Football Academy on Instagram.
on a rainy Tuesday. Coming at you live, of course, on YouTube and X. And you can catch us. Do we replay on Instagram or Facebook? Still?
Twitter.
Twitter,
it's
X.
on.
That's what X.
X.
I said X.
Twitter, whatever.
You're still back.
But it
Twitter days.
replays on there. That's the one that is as far as live, and then YouTube, and then the other one's just a regular podcast style.
Absolutely. Follow us, like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. Of course, Spotify. You can catch the audio version only, as well as on Apple as well. And of course, football360show.com for all things Football 360 Show. Football season is here. Just had a wonderful experience at the KC Varsity Combine last Saturday, which seems like it was forever ago, but it was just a few days ago. And of course, owner-director of KC Varsity Combine, Mr. Wayne Orr, is going to join us hopefully here in a little bit. We're going to chop up some KC Varsity Combine coming to St. Louis this coming Saturday. May the 3rd. And of course, Elite Football is involved. I'm going to be there. Producer Joe is going to be there. He's going to be the dude taking your photos. So you want to look all spiffy.
Yeah, do your hair, get a haircut,
Do your hair. We don't want to hear complaints.
He's not going to do any edits.
This is not prom, right? This isn't this isn't homecoming. You're going to get everything. You don't need to bring your corsage or none of that good stuff. But great time. It was cold. I'm not going to lie. It was cold in Kansas City.
It should be nicer this weekend.
It's going to be nicer, sunny. It's going to be, I think Wayne said that it was going to be like 75 in Baldwin on Saturday. So that would be perfect weather if it's sunny and 75. Hopefully no wind. I don't know what it is. And from being over there for 7-on-7s, but KC has been windy past couple years in the springtime. So
we've had some this whole spring, wherever we went, it was bad. It just was not.
Really
just rain.
Yep. Windy, cold.
Couldn't catch a break. Rain, wind. Yeah, cold.
Yeah.
Not fun.
And of course, I show up in shorts and a t-shirt and it's like, yes.
Yeah.
So, but great experience there. A lot of kids, a lot of talent as always. And of course, I do believe Mr. Wayne Orr from KC Varsity Combines is on with us right now. There's the man. Oh, look at that. Look at you, Wayne. You got the backdrop and everything.
Took a minute to set it up from over the weekend, but how are you guys doing?
Doing great, man. Yourself?
Doing great.
I'm running like a chicken with my head cut off, trying to get ready for this weekend. We're excited to be in St. Louis again.
Absolutely, and Matt can attest to what that's like. I always admire you guys, the effort that it goes into putting these combines on, which is why I like to stay on the periphery and just watch you guys work.
We see you standing around a lot.
I do a lot of standing around. I was standing around in Kansas City. I'm like, I love to see you work like this. Wayne.
Yeah, and you're looking for a jacket, right?
I was looking for a jacket. Wayne had his swiped. Is that right?
Yeah, it still came up missing.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
that's wild. Blame the wife. Blame one of them. Might as well. Yeah. So. Appreciate you joining us today. Of course, this is going to be the second annual KC Varsity Combine happening in St. Louis. Last year was a huge success. A lot of great talent, a lot of great kids. This year, though, I think is going to be even better with the school showing up and just the level of talent and everything. So go ahead and tell us a little bit about KC Varsity Combine and your journey and coming to St. Louis.
So this is year 13 for KC Varsity Combines. We had several people ask us about coming to St. Louis. Spent a little time on the phone with JP the prior year, making sure that we had his blessing before we go move into somebody else's territory.
I'm the Pope.
to check in with him.
Something like that. There might be an extra O in there somewhere. But just because I like doing business the right way, and we don't want to step on anybody's toes.
Right.
And we had several colleges talking about they were recruiting St. Louis, and they would like to see if we can make it happen in St. Louis. The same thing that we do in Kansas City. We're excited this year. We've got some guys coming from Kansas City to go to St. Louis.
Yes.
Apparently, there's some Twitter beef this year.
Oh, is that right?
Oh yeah. That's what I'm told anyway.
Right.
We've got some heavy hitter O-line, D-line guys coming.
Yes.
Since we're all padded up this year, this is the first year that we did the pads for the O-line, D-line guys. That was something the college coaches have asked for a few years, and JP has asked, and all the media guys. Yeah. So JP, what did you think first year out with the pads?
I loved it. Of course, it just adds such an extra element, and it really helps you be able to evaluate kids better, in my opinion. You get to see what's going on. I mean, it's great, everybody going against air, you know what I mean? But when they're padded up and even just going through the drills, and you get to see their movement, and you get to see how they attack the bags and how they do everything padded up. It's just a totally different experience. It was a little controlled chaos there at the end.
We've got that handled.
Good. You're good. Good.
Yeah. There was a mistake on my part on timing. I thought I allowed time rather than the actual clock time.
Gotcha.
So we have that resolved. We had a Zoom call with all the coaches, got that resolved. So
the kids loved it, though. Kids loved it because they got reps. You want to talk about reps?
Lots of reps, huh?
I mean, it was
those
reps.
Kids were exhausted when they got done.
Oh yeah,
they were spent. The college coaches spent a little bit of time at lunch, as you did too, talking to the college coaches, and they were just beside themselves on how much better it was to be able to see the kids what they can actually do with pads on rather than just kind of pushing them around.
Correct. Exactly. And what was fascinating about it to me is there was only one time that Coach Rose had to tell guys no bull rush.
Right.
Because they're padded up using technique.
Yeah.
Which is what you want to see.
Yeah, you'd think a lot of guys with helmets on are going to try and do the bull rush stuff and do a bunch of power stuff.
Oh, I'm sure that guy's coming this week, bro.
It's funny because one of the guys coming, the twins from Kearney, the Beaver brothers.
Yeah.
I spent some time talking to Mason, and he's like, "Yeah, I kind of embarrassed myself because I've always just been able to overrun somebody, and the speed, the quickness, and the moves.
Yeah.
I wasn't familiar with, and it's just an extra tool in their belt because." You're just not coming for combine testing, right? We're just like elite, those coaches go through and explain drills and help them be better football players. And we try to mimic exactly what elite does.
Yeah. It is. The teaching at last week. And that's what I love about elite as well is the teaching. You guys, and this is why it's great. You guys partner up like this because elite coaches are going to be there on Saturday doing the same.
Yeah. We love those guys.
Doing the same thing. The teaching aspect, I think, is missing from all the money grab camps and combines.
Yeah,
that roll through town, which we're going to talk about that. But
there's a lot. Yeah, and Wayne, something you said the other night on the call, which is you don't want to spend you don't want to do like an inordinate amount of time. Like you said, those guys got some bonus reps, right?
Yep.
But like you keep it concise, you keep it to the on point, right? And I think there's a lot of camps or things that are all day and people do that to justify the cost, if you will.
Right. Yeah.
But the reality of it is they only have so many reps in them and there's only so many times you can, get those guys to, perform at that level and do it the right way without risking injury or without, being too redundant.
Right.
But I think, you said that the other night, it clicked for me because I was like, it's the truth. You want to keep it a right amount of time. And if you finish early, right, because testing goes fast. I mean, that's what happens. And I think, maybe a parent might go, well, you guys said you're in it at 1 or whatever it is. It's like, no. Right. We have a period of time. And when we're done because we know. And I think that is when you were talking about that, I just thought that was really a good point. Really good point.
Even at the high school level, you don't do Indy for 3 hours at the high school level at any given day. You physically can't do it. And this is after you do combine testing,
Yeah, right.
right? And so now you're starting to get a bad look in front of the college coaches.
Yes.
And we want everybody fresh enough to where every single rep, even if it's the very last rep that you take, it's just as good as the first rep.
Mhm.
Absolutely. And that's the thing. And that's why I tell parents, I tell players, you want to go to the elite combine, you want to go to KC varsity combine, because those two are the professionally run, right? Where you guys are looking out for the players. You want the players to look their best, to be able to showcase themselves, put their best foot forward and on the highest level.
It's funny because I got a couple of complaints last year in St. Louis. Remember how hot it got?
Oh, yeah.
There was 8 or 10 kids throwing up in the trash cans and on the football field. And finally, I looked at the trainer and I'm like, "Hey, what do you think?" And he's like, "Man, if I was you, I would call it because they're just dropping like flies."
Yeah.
And at that point, the kids were exhausted.
Right.
Yeah, right.
It snuck up on us. The heat snuck up on us, and nobody was really prepared. And for safety purposes, and here we are again. Let's make sure all the reps are good reps
That's it.
Right.
in front of college coaches. Let's not just be completely spent and get reps
And do rep just to get reps,
Right.
right? Like that's
Right.
that's not the point. And I think there are so many things that occur around the country where it's just you do it just to do it, and it's like no, there needs to be a plan. And some, the fact that you guys have been doing it as long as you've been doing it, we've been doing it as long as we've been doing it. We had someone text JP and I about earlier in the week about a kid who did a combine, and he gave him his scores, and the coach, so, oh, that's not a verified combine. Say, well,
Yeah.
what is a verified combine? The one that has the national one where they have volunteers timing people, or they actually have real coaches. I mean, I've been to some of the national ones that obviously carry a lot of weight,
Whoa.
and legitimately, you ask the guy, Mike Weinstein from Zybeck, like, who's running these things? He's like, oh, they just get volunteers, just
Right.
whoever. So that's, of course, the machinery is great, right? The testing apparatuses are great. Like, but wouldn't you rather have someone that's tested thousands of kids versus someone that just showed up that day that's volunteering, to get their community service hours? I mean, like, I find that really interesting that, oh yeah, that's not verified. Well, no, it's verified because the fact that you've been doing it for 13 years and we've been doing it for a long time, like, as well, like, come on, like, that's verified, because you know what? It's a go back and look at the number of people that have done it prior. So experience matters. And so, these ones that pop into town, you see them year to year, and it's really interesting. And they do the same model. They get whoever they can get because they don't have a local base of people, right? Like, whereas we work together, they like, that's not the relationship with a lot of these
Traveling
pop-up
circuses.
deals, if
Yeah.
you will. And so
Right.
the kids always talk about it. The kids definitely talk about it. And so their experience isn't great. So
Right.
I think it is one of those things that parents, you kind of got to be aware of it, especially if you're going to one. Like, we're not, both of us, we're not national guys, but kids that do these events go national.
I don't know.
Right?
I'll tell you what. Here's a quick story, and I'll let you say. Actually, last week was international because there were 2 kids from Serbia. I don't know if you got a chance to see those kids.
I did.
There were 2 kids from
That's
Serbia,
awesome.
and it was awesome. It was, and I mean, they had just been here a few months, and they heard about KC Varsity, and they signed up, and man, they were good.
They were
I
good, strong,
I had no idea. I had
Strong kids.
Yeah, they were strong
No
kids.
idea.
And
a
Yeah.
little raw, but big motors, big
Yeah.
strong kids. So yeah,
That's awesome.
it was funny with the broken English. I'm like, so where are you?
Tough.
I'm from. It sounds like they all sound like Drago, right? From Rocky IV.
Yeah,
I'm from
Absolutely.
Serbia. I'm like, oh, everything they say sounds like they want to fight.
right.
I love it.
And that's the mentality that they brought to it. But yeah, go ahead and talk about that one. You've been doing this for 13 years. You've been doing it for 16, 17, Matt. And you guys are constantly getting the latest technology, always upgrading, always on top of everything like that.
Right. And we wouldn't go to St. Louis if Elite wasn't a part of it, right?
Yep.
I'm not going to go to East High School and
Yeah.
just grab some random coaches, right?
Yeah.
And
Like
people
others
do, but Wayne, people do that all
know.
the time.
Yeah.
Like, it's there was one that someone ran in Kansas City earlier in the year, and it's like, yeah, they got some guys, but like there's no connection. You're meeting the people the day of. Like I told the story years ago to JP that we in the early 2000s where that National Underclassmen Combine was coming around, and they were doing combines, and they would have 3 guys, and then they would fill in the rest with guys from around the area.
Right.
And like we did it a couple times, and I realized I was like, oh, this is not beneficial for us or the kids. Like this is not. It was just not a good environment, right?
And you
That
don't
was
want your name
haphazard.
attached to it,
That's haphazard.
right? And you don't want your name attached to it.
No,
Right.
no,
Right?
we got, yeah.
Because then they say, "Oh, we went to the National Underclassmen, the NUC, and the elite coaches were there," and
Right,
it was haphazard. It was unorganized. And then you don't want to carry that.
Right.
No.
And even for somebody like me, everybody asks me, and the only places that I want my name attached to is elite and KC varsity. Right. And I straight up tell people the rest, they're not as professionally run. They're not something that's reliable, that is verified, which, by the way, interestingly, the person who said the times weren't verified, they were asked, well, what is a verified time? And he goes, oh, Lindenwood Mega Camp. It's like, okay, well, guess who runs the testing at Lindenwood Mega Camp?
I mean, like that,
Right.
and so, and then here's the thing. And like JP and I were talking about, like a lot of times coaches are saying stuff like that because it's a slow play, right?
Right.
It's unfortunately, that's just how it happens. And so not, maybe the coach doesn't know. I would
Exactly.
assume, but on the flip side, he probably does. And he's just using that as a, hey, get to our camp so we can time you
Yes.
ourselves,
Right.
which again,
I get it.
fine, but maybe just say that. Like we
Right.
need to see you on our campus, right?
Right.
Right.
So go ahead and talk about your relationship with the coaches and how they look forward to your combine and getting the data, getting the information, being there in person, being able to evaluate kids.
And so that's a huge thing, right? Is verified data, right?
Mhm.
So we got hit up a little bit this last week because last year I didn't realize it until after the fact, but we were doing height, but the kids had their shoes on,
Oh,
right? So this year I'm like, I didn't realize it till it was towards the
Oh,
end.
that happens.
Yeah.
Right? And
Yeah,
so
that
this year
happens.
I was adamant. I told my coaches, I said, they have to take their shoes off. I don't care if we're late getting started,
Mhm.
right.
but when South Dakota State wants my information, they know it's verified,
Right.
right? Because that's why they keep coming. That's why they keep coming to Lindenwood, is because Elite does it the right way. We do it the right way, and it's verified timing, height, weight, whatever it is, it's verified. And so I had a couple parents mad because their kid shrunk a half an inch
Yeah.
or an inch from last year.
Yeah.
And so I just explained to them, I said, look, the college coaches ask for everything to be verified. Shoes do not count as verification,
Yep.
Mhm.
right? Because now they've got shoes, which I probably need to give me 2 inches height. Right. Maybe
Yeah.
I'll hit my growth spurt and actually be 5'9" or 10 or whatever I need to be.
Right.
But that's why those colleges keep coming back. That's why the colleges keep going to Lindenwood, is because they know they're getting verified times, right? Most of the colleges come to ours because it's a great database for them to start their recruiting,
Yep.
right? They all have camps coming up in June, July, and they'll use a lot of our database stuff for those camps to fill their camps.
Oh yeah. That's
A
who
lot
they.
of them are prospects, and they want to see them, like what you were saying. They want to see them on campus.
Yes.
There's more and more schools now are making offers. They may see you at Elite or KC Varsity Combines or Lindenwood, but they're like, we need you on our campus because I want our linebacker coach to watch you.
Yeah, that is a great point, because a lot of people don't understand. Like some of the camps, even like a mega camp, maybe the whole staff isn't there, and unfortunately, sometimes the person that's the decision maker is not there. So they're there gathering information, much like an NFL scout will be on the street scouting guys, and then bringing it back to the GM and the player, personnel people,
Yeah.
and then they make a decision. And so, yeah, obviously, it's a great situation where, like, I'll use Miami of Ohio as a great example.
Right.
At Lindenwood, their head coach is always there, so
Right.
they're able. And you'll notice they pull the trigger on more kids but their head coach is there,
Right.
right? And so
Right.
that makes a huge difference. Where let's just use the incarnate word as as a school. There, if they have one coach there, or Furman University has one coach,
They can't see it.
they can't. And so like they can only see so many guys. And oh, by the way, if that guy is not the position coach and the shot caller for that position, like he's not going to get you an offer. He's going to encourage you to come to their camp so he
Right.
can show you off. Hey, look what I found.
Right.
And then hope that you do the same or better than what you did at the camp where he saw you. That's just how it works.
Right.
I mean, then that's just and it sucks as a parent and an athlete because there's only so many places you can go. But if they do see you this weekend and they start talking to you
Right.
and you build a relationship, and then maybe you see him in a couple weeks at Lindenwood, you
They
never
know you.
know, man.
Yeah.
Like that's how it works. And it's just like no different than marketing. You got to get so many touches. And if you do, and yes, there are some lucky guys that get offers without ever doing anything. But
Right.
but their day's coming too. At some point, they got to get on the field and put up or shut up.
Right.
Right.
Right. And so everybody's always asking why do you only do 3 weeks in a row? Right. That's the whole point is for those college coaches to get all that information. And it's also to stay away from Lindenwood. We know it's a mega camp. We would never try to compete against Lindenwood.
Mhm.
And then it allows those families to be able to make sure they get to Lindenwood. But it also, if it's South Dakota State or North Dakota State, they come to our camp and see a kid,
Mm-hmm.
but they know he's going to go to Lindenwood. It's just one more opportunity for them to see that athlete and maybe be able to pull it. Hey, the running back coach from North Dakota State, hey, there's a kid that we saw at KC Varsity Combines. You really need to keep an eye on him. We know he's going to Lindenwood. And
That's exactly how it works. I don't know that people understand the touch points. Like we do ours early in the early spring, late winter. And that's more of like a touch point of like, hey, get verified scores for after the season, kind of like the verify film. Now we're out of that period. We're in an evaluation period. So now they can watch you. And then you
KC
want to get
Varsity.
critical mass, right? Where you get guys watching you and maybe they pull the trigger. If they don't, a lot of times you have to believe them. Like they need someone else to see you, right? A lot of times they're not, the HC is not, and the coordinators are not going out every single weekend because they can't, right? They might be hosting official visits right now for transfer portal guys.
right.
So they're sending people out, and then they're going to find who they need to find, and then have the big man check off whether that's going to offer you.
Right.
Right. I mean, there's just a lot of steps, and I wish it was more simple than that. I wish it was like, hey, yeah, they love you. They're going to offer you. Oh, and you can commit, but that's just not how it works.
Right. I think maybe it did a while ago.
Yes.
Yeah.
It
Hey.
used to.
Yeah. Once upon a time.
Maybe prior to COVID,
Yeah.
once COVID hit and everybody was getting the extra years and now the transfer portal, it's harder and harder for these high school kids to get recruited. And we try to explain this to them that, would you rather, Matt, would you rather have 20-year-old Matt or would you rather have 18-year-old Matt?
I know.
That's it.
No
No.
brainer.
Right. No, it is a no-brainer. And I try to explain to kids that we say it every week. The portal is the main recruiting tool now, and high school's a supplement, right? For the portal. And so events like KC Varsity, the Elite Combine, it's so much more important now, right? Because your opportunity has been lessened. So you got to get out. You got to get eyes seen. I mean, these other camps and combines we talk about, right? You never hear of guys getting offers from them.
No.
Never.
It's really rare. I mean, that's really interesting because you'll watch the couple days after, there's kids getting offers now that did stuff this past Saturday.
Right.
Next week, this time there'll be kids getting offers, right?
Yep.
And based off of what happens this coming weekend. And that's just the way it works. And the funny thing is like the back when it was a little easier to get recruited, I hate to say that because it's never been easy, but it was easier than what it is right now for a high school kid.
Right.
Kids would take advantage of it. I think some kids are so worried to put themselves out there now because a lot of it's the social media effect and a lot of things of like, hey, I don't know if I'm ready.
I'm gonna
the number
wait.
of texts that I get, I know you get,
Yeah.
about, hey, should I do this?
Yeah.
And kids feel like if they didn't get an invite, at the end of the day, if like Wayne is not going to turn you away, we're not going to turn you away. Like if you want to come compete, come compete.
Right.
If you're of the right age, right?
Yeah.
You know, we're not looking for 20-year-olds to come back and relive. You can go
get all
to
those
college for another
messages
8
too.
years.
I get all the, hey, I got one more year of eligibility.
Oh
I'm
yeah.
like, oh, man, you're 24 years old. I got
Yeah.
I have parents that say to me, I have some eligibility left.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
They want to get in on that gravy train now.
I will tell you, like, this is a totally same, it's in the same vein, but like something that we get quite often, more than you would think. We will have, and it usually is around this time of year, right around the draft or the combine kind of period with the NFL. We will get people, sometimes mothers, fathers, and or kids, wanting to give football a shot. Right.
Really?
And they've never played football.
Never played.
And they want to give it a shot. So, and usually it's not as good as as they think it's going to be. Every once in a while, like they're fairly athletic or whatever, but like I'm talking like usually 22 to 26.
Okay. I thought you were talking about like 50-year-olds. Like
now, I will tell you, like, and we've had some kids go on and do some stuff, but nothing crazy. But like we get some of that. But I forgot the guy's name, but he's the leading passer in the UFL. Did you see that? Have you seen that story?
No.
He wanted to become a quarterback. And so he learned how to do it on YouTube.
Wow.
He went to a junior college. Now, this is like when he was like in his early 20s.
Okay.
He did not play in high school, I don't believe. He learned how to play on YouTube. He went to a JUCO. Then he won the national championship for a D2. And he was a Harlan Hill Trophy winner, so the Heisman for the D2.
Wow. Yeah.
And now he's the last 2 seasons he's the leading passer in the UFL.
How was that not a wider known story?
I don't know. I just saw it the other day. I was like, man, I got to look more into this. But it made me think of, and believe me, if someone calls in and they want to do it, like who are we to say that their dream is not worth working towards? Right now, we have had a few where they come in. You're like, you got to get in shape before you even do this. Like you have done nothing since high school. Like you got to get back in shape. We can't be throwing balls at you if you can't turn around and without falling.
Right.
Well, there you go. There you go, Wayne. You might have a whole new market for adult combines.
Yeah, I'm all right. I've been bothered a little bit with the portal combine.
Yeah.
I don't know. That'll be something that maybe we'll talk with Elite this winter.
Yeah.
That the downfall is you got to go in those 2 little windows.
I know the time. It's just the timing.
I mean, it's
yeah,
it's crazy.
Because the Division I schools really can't come evaluate.
Right. Yeah. And that's where all kids want to go too.
Right. And so I don't know. There's a whole nother topic there.
So, speaking of that, though, like I was talking to a kid last night, and this kind of dovetails into it. So, the NCAA, it'll be interesting to see what happens. I haven't looked in the last day or so maybe it changed. But the judge in the House First NCAA case basically came out and said, hey, listen, you guys have 14 days or this is going to trial. So that was about 7 days ago, maybe even more.
Right.
And her chief complaint was, and she was correct. She's like, you guys are cutting kids off of teams based on guidance that has not even been approved. Like, what are you doing? And why are you doing that? Like who in their right mind would think, because there's that 105, roster that the limit that's been discussed. Well, her point was, we're going to get through that through attrition. We're not cutting people. So what happened was teams started cutting.
Yeah.
And people are still doing it. Even I know as we sit here talking, for a fact, there's coaches talking about why, the guy at Arizona State was just talking about, we're cutting kids right now to save them for the fall. Newsflash, where's your compliance department, legal compliance? Because there's going to be people coming back and basically saying you cut me based on something that didn't even exist. You lied to me, right? And so they are so upside down in this entire component. And so I see a scenario where, they have these rosters that are, let's say it's going to be at 130, then it's going to trim to 115, then it's going to, because through attrition, you could
Right.
do it pretty naturally, right?
Over 4
And
years and get it down.
yeah, and right again, but that was the judge's point was, why are you cutting people when that's we're trying to expand some rosters in some sports, and
Right.
then control it in others, but no one has approved this. So I think it's really interesting. So there's kids right now that are kind of getting false messages if you just read the legal rulings of what's going on, and then they're doing exactly what the lady
Right.
who's in charge of the entire thing, because if it goes to trial, I mean, I've read the NCAA is on the hook and the member institutions for as much as $20 billion.
Right.
Right now, they're going to struggle to pay the $2 billion, and it won't sink them. But if they have to do 20, all bets are off. It's done. It's over.
Right.
Like you're wiping the entire system out. And so I'm sure the judge is aware of that, but it is what it is, right? At some point, like you have to play by the rules, and they didn't for so long, and now they're being held accountable.
Right.
But yeah, they still guys are getting cut as we speak.
Right. And that may be the end of the NCAA if that happens.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've talked about that for a while.
Yeah. I mean,
It's coming. It's just going to be corporate college football
yeah.
Right.
at that point.
My youngest son's in law school at Mizzou, and he works for the athletic department, Mizzou athletic department. He's on the compliance side, and he's like, "Oh, these schools are in trouble." The NCAA, he goes, "This is bad."
Oh, they are in hot water, and I think
not
unfortunate,
but there's a bunch of schools that are doing
right.
Yes. I think there's. And the problem is like, what was the remedy? These people is a lot of them got cut, and the first thing they did was they went to the court. They actually went to the court that's involved in this antitrust, lawsuit, if you will, and complained and said, I lost my scholarship or my roster spot because of this.
Right.
And there was enough people that complained to the court that the court was like, no, that's not what we said. And why are you acting in this manner? So it'll be interesting to see how it all unfolds. But I that for that transfer portal, I just think there are so many unanswered questions and so many kids that make these rash decisions without having a plan. And there's kids that are getting hurt. And maybe some of that's just because the schools are not communicating with them. I mean, I had another kid in my office yesterday. He's hurt. Just came home from a major Division I school. He's rehabbing his one of his body parts, and he said, "Yeah, I think I'm safe. I don't know, but he's hurt, right?" And so, the other nasty thing that's going on, and you can just start asking kids, "Hey, do you have any film?" Oh no, they shut our film off, so the kids can't watch their own film because they're in fear that the kid will record it and then send it out to colleges so they can get recruited by other people. So again, but here's the thing. Those are the same schools allowing kids to send them film so they can evaluate it. They're not going to offer them just based on, and obviously they have access to game film. But who it really screws is guys that have not gotten on the field, and they can hold those guys hostage. And it's not fair. It's really not, because it's their film. It's of them. They're not asking for anybody else's film. They're asking for their own film. But I would say more schools than not are definitely controlling it.
Yeah, they're going to have to do something with the portal. They're going to have to put some guidelines out of what, like the schools allow those athletes to have, which is their practice film, right? Because you got guys that are hurt, and he's like he's a senior again with no film.
Right. Yeah. You're right, and that is really detrimental. And here's the other thing. The kids are on an island. They don't have anybody there on the staff they can consult with, because you know why? That coach wants them either staying there or gone, right? One or the other.
He wants to keep his job.
It keeps his job. And so, and it's not easy for the coach. I can't imagine with the position it puts the coach in, because he's thinking, oh my God, you leave, I got to go find someone else. And I got to build this guy back in and teach him how to play in our system. I don't envy anybody in the cycle, but I do know that the athletes, a lot of them are very clueless and they feel helpless.
Yeah.
It's a bad scenario for sure.
It really is. So Wayne, number one question I get asked from guys who are interested in coming to the combine is, what do we do? So go ahead and break down the itinerary. When should guys show up, and then what do you do at the combine this coming Saturday?
So from this Saturday from 7 to 8 in the morning, we do registration. You'll walk in, you'll register, you'll get a shirt. We're going to do your height, weight, wingspan, hand size, and then we're going to get your picture taken. And then we're at 8 o'clock. We're going to hop into a dynamic warm up and then do some combine testing. So this is the first year we've switched from the 40-yard dash. We spent a lot of time with the college coaches doing surveys, and they want the top mile per hour.
Mm-hmm.
So we're doing the 10-yard fly this year. We did it last week. It seemed like we had great success with it.
Yep.
I think next year we may run 10-20 out of the gate for the linemen, and then run the fly for the skilled kids. We'll work on that. But we also do the 5-10-5, which is a short shuttle. We do the vertical. We have the vert mats, so we do the vertical, and we do the broad jump and the L cone.
Right.
And so we can test up to 350 kids in a couple of hours in all those events. Once we get done with all the testing, we'll clear off all the equipment. We'll get ready to go, and we'll start our Indy drills. We'll let the quarterbacks kind of make the pace on this. Once they get warmed up, we'll bring the receivers over. We like to run the gauntlet. You've probably seen it on the NFL combines where the receivers are running right down the 20 as fast as they can, catching balls from both directions. The only thing that we do differently is our last guy, he flares off, and when the quarterback throws a fade, and the quarterbacks will move position to position so they all get an opportunity to throw timing and then throw the fade. And then we go, we'll do a little routes on air, and then we'll add some DBs for some one-on-ones. At the beginning of all that, at the Indy drills, that's when the linemen will suit up, put the helmets on, the shoulder pads, the practice jersey, and they'll go do Indy drills, padded up, and then they'll start getting into some contact and doing some one-on-ones, leading into the finale that we do is with the King of the Hill.
King of the Hill, which is always popular. All the players get in a circle and they get to cheer on their favorite guy. I mean, it's a lot of fun, and especially with pads. I mean, it was really intense.
It was another level this last Saturday.
Oh,
sure.
yeah. Oh, yeah.
Sure.
So it was good. And it's just fun, the whole dynamic. Nobody likes to lose. Nobody likes to, but luckily everybody was pretty good with it. There wasn't a lot of, I won that rep. I didn't, I should have won that rep.
Right.
So,
and the great thing too is it builds character, right? Because if I'm Lindenwood and I see the O-line guy lose that rep and he is pissed but in control, I want that guy, because guess what? He's competitive, he's got heart, and he's got drive.
Absolutely.
The kid who messes up with the rep and then blows his cool, takes his helmet off, throws it, does whatever, you know what? That's not the character of a guy that schools want.
No, and you talk about character. Don't be a character. Show character, right? You say that at the combines
a lot, yeah.
So explain, because Matt and I talk all the time. You never know who's watching you, right? Talk about your demeanor, your behavior, the character you should show, even at a combine like this.
No.
And it's just the simple things, right? We talk about if you're a wide receiver and a defensive back, the defensive back falls down, you're a wide receiver, pick the guy up and go get the ball and go.
Yep.
Right? Help him up. This is just an event. You guys aren't out for blood. This is not an official game. Show some character. Lift that guy up, get him out of there. If it's O-line, D-line, whatever it is, those coaches are looking for just the small things.
Yeah.
And it's difficult sometimes for those kids to understand that. A kid wins a rep on the offensive line and he wants to run up and put his butt in his face and carry on. Dude, there's 80 coaches standing here looking at you.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That will cost you. Yeah.
I for the life of me, I don't understand. Like, they think that that's going to happen. And you saw what happened at the Battlehawks game this weekend, where a player from, I don't even know what team he's on, Michigan, slapped a fan in the stands, right?
Right.
They were,
I'm
they were
just-
talking smack, and as Puka Nakua's brother, right? He's reached up. So,
Okay.
you know, to your point, you know, sure, he might have gotten himself, you know, relieved of whatever angst or angry he had at that moment. But if every NFL team's like that, we can't have that liability. You got a guy over here smacking fans. I mean,
Right.
can you imagine if that happened in an NFL game?
All right.
I mean,
Right.
so again, like, and he's got a teammate over there cheering him on. Like, again, it doesn't matter what the guy did or said. You don't go up into the stands and smack somebody. Like it just doesn't end well. And it's the same thing where you make a big catch and then you try to humiliate the guy you just caught it on, you know. Or my favorite, when the guy beats you and you drop it, the receiver drops it and then the DB, you know, simulates as if he strapped him up. Like,
Right.
no, he just dropped the ball. Like,
Right.
yeah, he dropped it. You didn't defend it. He dropped it.
And I think I was standing by JP this week. We had the offensive lineman who put the defensive lineman down on the King of the Hill, and then he strapped him in.
Oh yeah.
I'm like, wait, that was a line. That's a
Yeah.
Right.
lineman. You did what?
Right. Right. Right.
This is
Right.
the same
Yeah.
guy that put his butt in his face. And I'm like,
Yeah.
you're missing the
the point.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I had to turn around and look at Mitch when when that was going. I'm like, it's crazy. It's
Right.
crazy.
That's exactly what we talk about is don't be a character.
Yep.
That guy was being a character.
Yep.
Be a man of character.
Right.
Right.
Exactly. Because that all that negative stuff, you acting out like that, that's not going to get you a scholarship. That's not going to get you interest from colleges. In fact, it has the opposite effect.
Right.
They will write you off because, like I say all the time, they're looking for reasons now with the portal. They're looking for reasons to check you off, scratch you out.
Coach Hansen from SBU, just because you did that, he's not running over going, here's an offer for you.
Right. Exactly.
It just doesn't
Right.
happen.
I mean, let your play speak for itself.
Right. Because they're standing there making notes.
You know, and Wayne, I think it's some of it's the you know, we're involved in some 7-on-7 and some of that culture of, you know, it's fun celebrating with your teammates, but not at the expense of other people. Like be a good sport. Like at the end of the day, like people are watching, and there's certain things where I see things and I'm like, man, I could never put my name on a kid that does stuff like that because it's just too emotional, too erratic, and it's just not. It just shows you their head is in the wrong place, right? And so again, you score a big touchdown, you have a big play, you turn around and celebrate with the offense. Okay, big deal. You stand over somebody and you try to humiliate them. I mean, like, again, like that doesn't fly at any level of football. Why do you think it would fly where you're trying to get recruited? Like, I don't understand that the reason why you'd want to do that. But I guess, you know, it's the social media and the clicks and the silly stuff. It's like, you know, making a fake phone call to Shedeur Sanders and filming yourself so you can be seen. And then, you know, and people want to be seen, I guess.
How would you like to be that
stuff.
dad? How would you like to be his father? Right.
And you both know my boys, they would be up for adoption or in an orphan.
Right. I mean, right. I mean, again, like, I mean, one, you shouldn't do that. It's just mean. It's just stupid.
They still live in fear of Wayne to this day. He's got it under lock, man.
Yeah.
He raised his boys right.
There's probably a lot that I don't know about too. So, which is good.
That's okay though. You're a parent, you don't know.
Yeah, but here you raised them right if they're not going to put it on the internet and film it, right? I mean, my God,
True.
The audacity.
My kids know enough to hide things from me.
The audacity, like the fact that you don't think you're going to get caught, or you don't care.
Right.
But I mean,
that's the other thing.
There's these camps that are all over the place. They've got coaches. Like if they go score a touchdown, like at the 7-on-7, those coaches run down to the end zone. We're at a camp.
Right.
Oh yeah.
Well, there's a reason why those college coaches don't go to those camps.
Correct.
There's a reason why the college coaches don't read any of their material.
Right.
Correct.
We used to have one of those camps that used to come to and do articles. The last time they came, he was pressing me for my registration list. I go, why is it so important for the registration list? He goes, well, I pre-write, those kids pay for articles and I pre-write them.
Yeah. Look, I see Matt's eyes light up.
Yeah.
He's like, I know who you're talking about.
How does that work?
You're right.
Yeah.
Oh, no,
Even
no.
longer than I have.
And,
How do
and
you write an article about a kid that a parent's paying for?
Yeah.
Before you even see the kid.
Matt has his chat GPT articles now. That's how he refers to him.
Yeah, I mean, like some of
It
the
is.
sites that do rankings too of like different positions, like it's mind numbing. Like again, I understand the scale of all the kids across all the country. I get it, but like if you can't nail it regionally, like how do we expect that it's getting nailed nationally? And it's not.
Right.
And so
Right.
and that's the beauty of the transfer portal. Like it covers up all the mistakes and errors of recruiting high school kids and or college kids.
Right.
Like it clears it up because you can go find another one.
Right.
Yeah. So all those camps, they're I call them sales camps because they're trying to sell you stuff, right? Here, elite KC varsity, they're trying to help kids. They're trying to help guys with opportunity to play at the next level. So, I mean, the difference is everybody knows it. And I'll tell you who knows it the most is the coaches. And you know exactly what I'm talking about, Wayne. The relationship that you have with the coaches, and you said it on the call on Sunday. You know, you said it's the coaches. You know, I'm just here doing it, but it's the coaches who really support it.
Right. And and part of that is the coaches that run my camp, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
It's not me that, I may carry the name and I organize the chaos, but it's the coaches, right? If I didn't have, when we first talked about coming to St. Louis, if I wasn't going to be able to have some elite coaches involved, we probably wouldn't be having this conversation right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
And it's the same thing with elite. You know, you guys Matt has the same dedicated guys who are just in. They're in for the fight.
Well, that's it, Wayne. You need guys like and your coaches that come from Kansas City with you. It's the same thing. It's about giving kids an opportunity. It's about providing something that they need and the coaches need, right? Because I don't know that people understand like how important the combine component of high school recruiting really is. I think a lot of people kind of bash or just down talk it because they don't understand like, hey, it's a vital part because the coaches need that information. And a lot of times, even when we get to the summertime, like it moves so fast those first 3 weeks of the summer that it's almost like if they don't have the pre-information, that you're almost starting so far behind that you can't catch up. And so that's why I encourage younger kids to start getting into this process where a lot of people think it's a bad idea to do it when you're like an 8th grader rising to 9th or 10th, freshman going to 10th. And I would argue the contrary, because one, you're playing with house money. You're not going to screw yourself over, like unless you are so far removed from where you need to be, but you still can like gain and some knowledge and confidence about what you need to do. And it may also prove to you that football's not it's not that important to you. I mean, it might prove that. It might also prove you got a lot of work to do and you need to figure out how you're going to get it done.
And that's what when parents ask me, we allow incoming freshmen to attend as long as they're not linemen. Yeah. If you're an incoming freshman, we tell you not to, right? Because there's some guys with some bad intentions, especially now with the pads on.
Yeah. Right.
Some guys with some really bad intentions because they're going to be seniors and they're fighting for scholarships.
Right. Well, the ones who we have though usually are like 6'3" to 6'7" and 300 pounds. We'll let those dudes come, right?
Right. It's funny because the kid who just won the belt, in Kansas City,
Drake Frankie,
showed up last year, right? Yeah. He was scheduled to go to all three. He went to the first one. Incoming freshman. I tried to talk his dad out of it. He came. He got a little bit humiliated, and so he didn't attend the other ones.
Right.
They had other obligations.
But hey, kudos to him because it sounds like he must have done something.
Yeah.
And it must have stuck with him enough to where he's like, hey, I'm going to be ready next year. And I think, to your point, there's some grown men that come. I mean, grown men. Like, and you look, it's
this week especially. It's some big.
Hey, I had a guy. This is somewhat unrelated, but it is because like there's so much today, And there's not a place that you will see more of this than 7-on-7 football. Where you're like, let's say you have 14U team, right? And you're like, you're 14 or under, like you look like you're 16, right? Full facial hair, all the whole nine, right?
Yeah.
So I was talking to a guy the other day about it, and he made a comment, and because like some of these kids in these different grades, there's if people are cheating, if you will, like not cheating, but cheating the system in the sense that they're holding them back or redshirting them. You think of a baby that's 2 months old, right? And then think of a baby that's 14 months old, right?
Oh yeah.
So just a year, it's really just just about a year and 2 months. That developmental difference is so crazy, right? Like between you go, oh, those, yeah, I'm going to let my 14-month-old compete against your 2-month-old. The
Right.
2-month-old's incapacitated.
Matt's here promoting baby fights.
No, but you start to then stretch that and extrapolate that out to even a freshman versus a sophomore.
Oh,
right.
100%.
And
Yep.
who's on the young age of being a freshman, and you have an old sophomore.
Big difference.
That's a problem.
Yep.
I mean,
is.
especially if that kid's doing what he's supposed to do. And it's very rare that you're so mature for your age. And I think that's one of those things where you just got to be cognizant of it. And I think, the coaches do a best job of like in the one-on-ones too, like with the receivers, is you try and find good matchups, right? Like, if a kid's getting jammed every single time, or he can't get out of a break because someone's all over him because he's not fast enough yet, that you got to have some understanding of who's throwing to him. That's the other thing, is like sometimes you got an older quarterback thrown to a guy who can't even get his head around out of a route. You want to try and, you might not know every kid, but you kind of start like scanning to make sure you kind of know who's
quick.
there. Right. I mean, there's some of that it's got to happen.
And that's why it's so important for us to have elite coaches when we come to St. Louis, because our guys, and I know Elite does the same thing. If we've got a kid that can't get off, one of my wide receiver coaches will pull him off and say, here's why you can't get off.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yes.
Your hands are to your side and you're leaning forward and you just take off running.
Yep.
Instead of swiping and going, right? Whatever technique they're going to try to teach him to get free.
Yes.
That's what's different between elite camps, KC varsity camps, and all these other run-of-the-mill stuff, because those guys are there for a paycheck, maybe a meal, and they just
sell some stuff.
They're not there to teach.
No.
Not there to educate.
No. But they do like the flashy graphics though. And that catches the kid's eye.
Really good with the flashy graphics.
Yeah, they're really good with the flashy graphics. So it looks like we're going to have good weather, sunny, and it's all over the place, somewhere between 69, 75 degrees. It should
not 50 and windy like it was.
Yes, and getting colder by the hour.
It was getting cold by the hour.
So deadline to register coming up is?
So because we have to travel and college coaches want this information in advance, right? Because what they want to do is they want to start seeing kids. They want to start seeing film so they know who they're going to start looking for. So registration ends Thursday night, 6 p.m.
Good. And where does everybody go to sign up and get out there, register? I'm telling you what, there are going to be some dudes. It's going to be great competition. You're going to learn, test, and compete with the best.
Yeah.
So
if you're an O-line, D-line guy anywhere in the St. Louis area, you want to be a part of this, because
in the Midwest, I mean, come on.
There's some dogs coming from Kansas City, and there's already some dogs that's already signed up.
Yeah.
It's going to be tough to get the King of the Hill sorted.
Yes.
That's 10 guys. It's going to be tough to pick out those 10. KCVarsityCombines.com. Hop on there. You can register. You can catch us on X, Twitter. We're all over the place. Catch us on Instagram.
Everywhere social media happens.
You have to.
Even Facebook, right?
We do have a Facebook page. Correct.
There you go. Even Facebook.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, that King of the Hill is going to be something. You could probably sell tickets to that thing, because that's going to be between the Beaver brothers coming themselves and Drake Frankie against these guys. It's going to be.
So those twins never played football in youth.
No, I didn't know that.
The first time they played football was a freshman in high school.
Wow.
One of them played the violin.
Dad was telling me that. Yeah.
The other one was like a game pro guy. Like he was on the virtue of of turning pro with the game.
Wow.
Oh
Wow.
wow.
Esports. Wow. He's still my, you got to see these. Where do you see these guys? They are
Man,
jacked.
these kids, they have some bad intentions.
They
love it.
they live in the weight rooms. If this doesn't work out, there's WWE.
They're gonna be.
It could be a tag team. Right, the Brothers of Doom, the Beavers.
Sure.
So that's really great.
I'm like imagining like the Hanson twins, or whatever from
Hey.
Slapshot.
It was triplets.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they're
yeah,
like
yeah.
triplets, right? They're
Right.
triplets.
Or
Right.
the glasses.
Oh god,
Yeah.
those guys.
Remember the Barbarians back in the 80s? They were brothers. They even got in like movies or something. They call
Oh
themselves.
yeah.
Yes.
That's very similar. Very similar. That could be that because you can only tell one apart from the other because one has a dimple. I asked him, I'm like, how's mom and dad tell you guys apart? He's like, oh, well, I don't even remember which one it was. Isaac's got a dimple or something, or Mason does.
I sent Mason a picture or something. He's like, yeah, that's my brother. I'm like,
Yep.
it's Home
Oh
Alone.
my god.
I did all day long. I'm like Mason. He's like, no, I'm Isaac.
Yeah.
So I finally had to ask.
So we did just the regular athletic tape across the back of the helmet to identify. I think we're going to go a little bit bigger tape.
Yeah.
So it makes it easier for JP Rock to figure out who's who.
Who's who, right? Instead of that way, I won't crumple up my roster as much.
There you go.
Figuring that out. Make this thing go full circle. So the very first, or one of the very first elite combines that we held, one of the attendees was a young Rockhurst linebacker named Michael Rose.
Yeah.
Michael Rose is going to be running the D-line drills. The
Yes.
D-line thing for KC Varsity in St. Louis here. So that talk about bringing it full circle.
Yeah.
We're just one big family.
Yeah. And so one of my very first MVPs was Elijah Lee, and he will be back at Kansas City the May 10th event.
Oh, nice. K-State. Yeah.
Running linebacker drills for us.
Sweet. Blue Springs. Yeah. Blue
Yeah.
Springs product. That's
Yeah.
great. Well, Wayne, we're looking forward to seeing you on Saturday. Everybody make sure you get there on time. Get there nice and early between 7 o'clock, right? Registration starts
Yes, sir.
7 to 8. Don't be late. You don't want to miss out. Take advantage of your opportunity. I mean, my gosh, such a great opportunity that's afforded you guys to have this here in the spring right beforehand. And we will see you on Saturday and looking forward to it and appreciate you coming on, giving us your time.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Yes,
I
sir.
appreciate you guys. Love you guys.
Love you too,
See
man.
you soon.
We'll see you there. Bye-bye. Wayne, our
I'm
great
gonna-
guy.
I'm gonna make a post here on the our X account for the
There you
Football
go.
360 show.
Sweet. And so, yeah, absolutely. And, Wayne reached out to me right away and just a natural fit that. And because I've been working with Wayne for a long time as far as going to KC Varsity. And he came up with the idea and he's like, hey, does Elite do anything in the spring, any spring combines? I'm like, no. And he mentioned that people have
Good
been
fit,
asking him,
really
and
good
it's a
fit.
perfect fit. And so the second thing he said was, hey, will Elite be involved? Because I got to tell you what, you want to talk about character people. That's a character move right there. Because
Yeah, you
there
know
are
what?
other
I will
outlets who
tell
just want to
you-
slide in there and
Yeah,
do things.
the number of things over the years where you're like, we're just gonna do it. It's like, you know what? Like, there's enough room for everybody to do things, but there's also what the best thing to do is sometimes work together, right? And I
Yes.
think you do see it in 7-on-7. There's a lot of not much working together type of scenario, right? And
Yeah.
and I would say like our coaching staff is a consortium of guys from across the community working together, right? It's
Right.
not all guys that are it just came up through our program. A lot of them did, but there's different guys that have come in and we're helping and they kind of grow it, and bunch of guys that have the same vision for what teaching and training.
Yep.
But they have their own aspect of how they want to deliver it, and I think that's the beauty of it.
It really is. And so, I mean, it's just a great fit. You're not, like I said, you're not going to get better teaching, coaching, training anywhere across the region. And that's just a fact. And all these other ones pop up. And I know that last weekend there were some guys who went to another thing that was happening. They switched their date to the last minute and happened there. And it's like, you missed out. But this on Saturday.
I there's so many things, and I think that's why we do this show is like you talk to people, and you just try to educate them on what they should do, what they shouldn't do, what's a good use of time, what's not a good use of time. And it is shocking to me sometimes how either gullible or just really like just don't have the knowledge in the scenario.
Yeah.
Either someone's telling them, and it's like you and I could tell them until we're blue in the face, right? And we've done this. I think we have enough credibility to do it. I don't know. Maybe a couple more years, another 20-some years of doing
I was
it.
going to say.
But I think that's where there's so many voices. I mean, the number of kids that we have are like, well, I'm not going to run.
Yeah.
And then you say, well, who told you to do that? Yeah, my coach said I shouldn't run. I'm not ready.
Or some guy.
Well, or
or people.
Or oh, your 40 is not the right timing system because my speed coach, timed me faster, right?
Yeah.
No,
On a track.
yeah, on a track with a tailwind, right? And so, like, the reality of it is like, no, this is the system that KC uses, that we use. It's Zybeck. It's the same thing.
Yep.
It's what they use at the NFL Combine.
Right.
I think that system is pretty well vetted.
Right.
I think they know it works well. And so again, I just think there's so much noise, and sometimes the parents just don't know, or the kids don't know, or they're looking for the wrong thing. They're looking for the official invite, or they're looking for like some validation or like assurances before they go.
Out. Right. Because they're not.
There's no assurances in any of this stuff.
No guarantees in life.
Like, and like, look, I don't care if you're Cantwell that's getting ready to go wherever he wants to go. The only assurances is probably whatever scholarship and or NIL situation he's got.
Right.
Once you get there, the only assurance is you have to be good enough to help that coach keep his job.
That's
the assurance.
That's it.
You have to be good enough to play. And I'm not even talking about him, but make no mistake, there are so many kids that they miss on, that they realize, like, hey, we're gonna give this guy 2-3 chances, but we can't give him the fourth because guess what?
Right.
I love him, but he ain't worth my job. And so I think therein lies the issue, is that you can never stop training. You can never stop. You've never arrived. You've never gotten to the point where you think you've made it. And because once you've achieved that thought level, you're dead in the water.
Yes.
It's over.
And parents don't know what they don't know. If you have questions, feel free to hit myself or Matt up. Our social medias are about to pop up here on the screen any second now. JP Rock MO on X, JP Rock Scout you on Instagram. Matt, you are at
Elite Football on X and Elite Football Academy on the Instagram.
Yeah. Email me, jprocks at flowerscouting.com as well. Speaking of guy real quick that was overlooked, have you seen what Brady Davidson's doing already at Northern Illinois?
Killing it.
We are not surprised.
Yeah, they got a steal.
A steal. Coach was even saying, he said he's the best quarterback that we've had since as soon as he stepped on the field.
Guess what? The MAC school should start looking this way, because that's what they said when Brett Gabbert stepped on the campus at Miami of Ohio, right? Same type of thing.
Correct. So that's happening. Next, Ben Roethlisberger.
There we go.
Right there on Northern Illinois campus. Enjoyed ourselves as always. Definitely want to thank Wayne Orr for joining us. KCVarsityCombines.com. Still time to sign up by 6 p.m. on Thursday. What's going on with you and Elite outside of working that?
We got training Wednesday night. We'll be there 8 o'clock for the high schoolers, 6:40 for youth and middle school, and then speed and agility Monday through Friday. If you're going to spend time, you got to work on getting you faster. The name of the game is how to move, right? We have countless examples of kids that come in consistently that their results are through the roof.
So if somebody's going on Saturday, could they come in this week?
Yeah, we got speed classes at 5:30 and 6:30 for the high schoolers every night this week.
There you go. Don't miss out. We've enjoyed ourselves as always. Fastest hour and 4 minutes of football talk on the planet. We will talk to you next week.